Here we go.
Do I need
Well,
to do
good
something on
evening
my end?
and happy Tuesday. Yep, we are live for Tuesday Motivation and Conversation. And I got Miss Danny White back with me tonight. How you doing, ma'am?
I am good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. It's been a little
Awesome.
busy lately, but hey, it's starting to in a little bit, we're starting to get on that incline and go down a little bit. Well,
Yes.
decline and go down a little bit, but it's been good stuff though. Been really good stuff. So we just we're a little less than a couple of weeks away from Pen to Paper 2023. So I'm
Yep.
excited about that. But we started a conversation last week during midweek chat, and
Hmm.
we tried to kind of tiptoe around, but I know that a lot of content and marketing expertise is going to be definitely shared a little bit more depth and detail during the actual Pen to Paper Business Summit. But tonight we vowed that we were going to talk about marketing myths, and there. Now I got a little list that I've been looking at, but it's going to be interesting to see how many of those you hit the night. So I'm gonna pull my list out. So when you start going down your list of marketing myths, I cannot wait. So that's what we're talking about tonight. So listen, for those of you who may be tuning in, or if you're watching the replay, I want to encourage you to share it with somebody, because this is important, especially as business owners, small business owners. There are a lot of things that we take that are just passed around, and we take that to be law when it comes to marketing.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think it's important for someone who's this is their area to share with us some of the marketing myths, of course. And she's not going to go into a whole lot of detail. So, but she's going to give us some of her top, I'll probably say top 5 to 7 marketing myths. She may have more than that, but I'm sure these are some things that people accept as law. This is how they operate by them. And then when they're not successful, they're frustrated. But there are some myths out there, and some of these things you just can't take. Everything is unique to the individual, unique to the industry, and you have to put your own time in. And uh, I'm not going to go into all that little stuff I was going to say, because I may be coming up on one of those myths. So I'm gonna let you, Danny, again, introduce yourself, what you do, because we may have people on this platform that wasn't on our midweek chat platform. And so I want them to know who you are and what you do. So I'm going to let you take it away and then take us into the marketing myths conversation for tonight.
Sure. So my name is Danny White. I run a digital marketing agency here in McKinney, Texas, DW Creative Consulting Agency. And I also have a podcast that talks about digital marketing strategies and personal development as well, called Hashtags and Habits. And you can listen to that podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you prefer to listen to podcasts. It's there. I've been in marketing for about 12 years, and this is one of my favorite topics to talk about, especially for small to mid-sized business owners and businesses. So yeah, I'm glad to be here.
All right. Once look, she don't even look like she look too much older than 12, right? Talk about she been in the game for 12 years. I'm
Yes,
telling you, so
I
that's a
still
little
get
secret
carded
that we learned
sometimes.
last week. So you have to go back and watch that video to get the details on that. How about that?
Yes, yes, absolutely. I still
So
get
all of
carded
this
here and
experience.
here and there, but I'll be like, okay.
Yes, 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 yes. So with that being said, of course, you have 12 years in experience in the game in this industry. And so I'm sure there have been some marketing myths that people have come up with. And I did da 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 da, and somebody told me, ABC or XYZ. So yeah, so talk to us about some of those marketing myths and why they are myths.
I think one of the biggest myths nowadays is that you can build a business on social media. Um, you can absolutely build brand awareness on social media, but you cannot build a business on social media.
Right.
Social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, they are all third-party platforms that are owned by someone else. So at any
Mhm.
time, if Mark Zuckerberg says we don't want to use Facebook ever again, we're going to shut it down, you have lost all of your followers, all of your content, all of your
That
likes,
part.
all of your shares. You do not own anything, right? So this is why I
Absolutely.
always encourage people to get a website. build a
Mm-hmm.
website, invest in the website, and don't just invest in the interface. Like, make sure that you're actually adding content to the website, sending people back to your own digital home, so that
Exactly.
you can own the material. One of the biggest things that people overlook too, and that is connected to the myth, is that your follower count is the most important thing. It is not.
Mm-hmm.
Email email addresses are the most important thing.
Yes.
That's the most important asset that you can have, that you can collect from your customers and clients. Because
Mm-hmm.
again, if social media goes away, which we don't expect it to, but there's
Right.
nothing to say that it won't, if it goes away at any time, you will always be able to communicate with your customers if you have their email address. So I feel like that's one of the biggest things. Everyone wants to build a social media business, right? Because it looks cool and sexy and it sounds fun. But in reality, when you talk about the business operations and the backbone of a business when it comes to marketing, we don't really care about your social media followers.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
to just, kind of piggyback there, there was a person I remember, it may have been a month ago now, 3 to 4 weeks
Mhm.
ago, who was actually on social media on another platform, but one of their social media platforms had been deleted. And
Mhm.
they were just upset because there were memories that they had housed on this particular account. And
Mhm.
I say to clients all the time, get you a website, invest in a website. I mean, what, maybe $400, on the high end for one, maybe 200 on the low end, depending on what platform you get and how many, how large of a platform you have, or, what all you're doing with your business. For me, I get the business commerce because there's so many other things that I do with my website. So
Mhm.
it's a one-stop shop for me, and I don't have to have 12 different platforms to function. Now,
Exactly.
but I say you don't own social media, but you
Mhm.
own your website. So it,
Yeah.
it behooves you to own a piece of the World Wide Web so that there's a place where people can connect with you. And to your point about email addresses, and while some people feel like that's outdated, it's not, because
It's
that's a
not.
direct
Yeah.
way to connect with your followers, with your customers, with people who engage with you, whether they come through social media. They may come through social media, but even if they come through social media and you have your website set up correctly, then you're going to capture a way to connect with them via their email address. So I just wanted to
Absolutely.
say, yeah, you're so right, because a lot of people just depend on, it's free, that they can do what they need to do on social media, and it's not true.
It's not true. And I always tell people, when you're building a marketing strategy, right? Social media alone cannot be your marketing strategy. Social media is very top of funnel. We use it for brand awareness, and we always need to guide people back to some other, whether that's a landing page, email sign up list, podcast episode. It always needs to direct back to you, right? And
Absolutely.
so a lot of people don't understand that when they're setting up like their business strategy. They just think,
Hmm.
okay, I can just build on Instagram and that's it. That's not a good, that's putting all your eggs in one basket. It's not a good
Absolutely.
way to look at it. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
All right. So building a business on social media, myth number one.
Yes.
Go ahead with myth number two.
I think the second myth is that marketing is like easy and it can be done by anybody. I think you can learn how to do marketing just like you can learn how to do anything, right?
Hmm.
I do think that there are certain skill sets, for example, in my case, that I have developed over these past 12 years, where
Hmm.
I can have my hand in different elements of the strategy and build out a full cycle of what an entire strategy would look like, right?
Hmm.
So, for
Hmm.
example, I have a client yesterday where we've been working on working on their website, building content out for their website, and we created the content calendar for the next 12 months.
Hmm.
And one of their remarks was that, oh, I didn't really know that like this could be created so quickly. That's because you haven't developed the skill, right? So you
Yeah.
can tell me about your business and then I can go and develop a marketing strategy for you, right?
Hmm.
But if someone who has not developed that skill, and this is why I tell people to do your due diligence, like make sure that you get references, make sure you really dig deep and make sure that the people that you're hiring, they know what they say, that what they're selling, right?
Right.
It's easy to sell things, but behind the scenes, you have like the right information. Are you actually using legal operations and things like that? Um, I say that anyone can't do marketing, just like anyone can't fly a plane, right? Like,
Right.
right, we can't get on the airplane and just be like, oh yeah, I can fly it. There are certain skill sets that you need, and I think if
Right.
you're trying to do marketing, like make sure you develop those skill set, those key ones, and or
Hmm.
get people who actually have those skill sets to help you.
Absolutely. Because, one of the things here again, it's like these people come there, to do books, to be authors. And one of the first questions I ask is, do you have a website? Because I want to know how you're going to promote it.
How are you
How are
gonna
you going to
promote
sell your book? Are
it?
you just planning to use, Amazon alone? Because here's the
Hmm.
thing, Amazon is good, but you have to think about you make a different level of a percentage of profits when you sell your book on your own website. And
Exactly.
not only that, that sends traffic to you that you otherwise would not get. And so
Hmm.
there's a whole strategy that I utilize with clients when they get ready to do pre-sales and get ready for publishing that, helps to kind of gain them that traction prior to the release of the actual project. And so
Absolutely.
9 times out of 10, don't have a platform
They
to
don't
put
have
it
a
on.
website.
And
No.
and they're looking to do it via social media. It goes back to the myth number one. And so while some people are going to see it, the people that you want to see it will probably not see it because it's on social media. The other part of
Exactly.
that is that the algorithms are totally different than what they used to be. It used to be that the people who followed you and that you were friends with saw whatever you posted. That's no
Hmm.
longer the case.
That's not true. Yeah.
And so when you post something, a lot of people post it with the anticipation or the misguided expectation that everybody sees my post. Everybody doesn't see your post.
No. Mm-mm.
Everybody who's your friend does not see your post, even though they're your friend, because the algorithms are no longer set up that way. And
Right.
so while that is true, it's also true that there's a particular niche of people that will only see that. So that may be 10, maybe 15, maybe
Mhm.
20, but it's all depending upon your engagement on social media. So if you go out there and you just post, it's just like when I put my post up about my newly released book, then
Mhm.
I had to warm the algorithm first.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I had to go out there, I had to engage, and so I learned that from someone somewhere. I was in a room somewhere, but they taught me that.
Yeah. It's one of,
And they
and that's one
taught
of
me,
the
huh?
that's one of the things why I tell people like consistency matters, right? Because the
Yeah.
algorithm has changed over time. Even the Google search algorithm has changed over time, right? So
Mhm.
if you're just posting, and it used to be also on Instagram, you could post just one post a week and you'd be fine,
Yep.
right? But more people have gotten onto the platform. The algorithm has
Yes.
changed. Private data laws and privacy laws have changed. All of that takes should be taken into consideration, right? And so the consistency of like, okay, the content you're actually going to produce, like
Mhm.
that matters a lot to the algorithm. How many times are you producing content a week or in a month? That means that we can trust you to feed our audience more
Mhm.
content. That's what the algorithm is going to say back. So the people that you all constantly see in your feed, you'll probably notice that they post a lot. They post a lot
Mhm.
of content. They post often. They post regularly, and that's the algorithm is going to favor the most consistent, not the most entertaining, not the ones
Absolutely.
that's going to make you laugh. Is going to favor literally the most consistent. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So here again, if you going out there and it's something, oh, I want to post this and make sure everybody knows. So if you have an event and it's this weekend and you post on Friday, chances are nobody sees that until
mm-mm.
Monday if they see it at all. So
Right,
if you want them to see it, you need to start well in advance, and you need to make sure you warm up the algorithm before you do. So that's kind of parenthetically inserting into this whole scheme of the marketing piece. But I think it's important because I think a lot of people still post with the understanding that whatever they post, the people that follow them and that they're friends with actually sees, their post on IG or Facebook, whichever one. But all of
absolutely.
these platforms, the algorithms are totally different in this season.
Yes, yes,
All right.
absolutely.
All right. Myth number three.
The third myth I think is that A lot of people think that if we build it, they'll come. That is not true. If
Think I
you
can
build
check
it,
that one off my list.
if you build it, they will keep doing the same thing they are doing, right? You have to get in front of people. And getting in front of people can happen in a number of ways. And I think a lot of times when we're a small business or we're just getting started, we feel like, okay, we don't have enough money or we don't have enough time or we don't have enough resources to
Right.
actually go and do marketing. But there's a lot of organic marketing that can be done prior
Mm-hmm.
to having a massive budget or a major budget, or even if you need a budget at all, right? There are a lot
Mm-hmm.
of things that like can be done ahead of time to know your audience, to understand who you're actually selling to put yourself out there. There's PR, there's media, there's email marketing, there's social media marketing, there is creating a speaking platform, there's podcasting. There are so many ways to reach people that I think that if we build it, they'll come idea is like very lazy now, right? Because
Yeah.
there's so many
Yeah.
ways to reach people, right?
Yeah.
Billboards on the street, they still work. Things
Oh,
like that.
absolutely.
So it's a matter of like having a full strategy and understanding like what are those elements in my business that actually matter. So for a lot of companies, it might be email. Email
Right.
might be your number one conversion, right?
Correct.
In that sense, focus on email, drive people to your email newsletter list, put out a consistent email newsletter list every single week or every month or whatever that cadence is going to be for you, right? If you build it, they probably won't come. They'll probably stay at their house.
You know, here's the
That's
thing.
not
I
the way
think
the world works.
the more the more social media integrations and things that we get, and the more
Mhm.
platforms and the more apps we get, you know, a lot of us just feel like, well, this is quick, we can do that. Word of mouth still works.
It still works. Yeah.
In-person events still work. And you know, I've had people so many times to ask me, where do you get your clients from? How do you connect? You have to connect on every level. It
Mhm.
is still, and I think after COVID, it's even more so this whole thing that everything has to be digital, and it doesn't, and it's still not the only way. And so
Mhm.
that was one of the ones that was on my list, build it and they will come. No, you got to build it, you got to lay the foundation, you got to put a frame around it, you got to structure, you got to talk about it, you got to be
Mhm.
about it, you got to embody it, you know. And so if you don't do all of those things, nobody will know. And
Right.
so, and because there's so much competition in everything, and there's so many people doing different things now, I do agree with the fact that everyone has a unique assignment. But even in that unique assignment, you need to make sure that you embody that unique assignment. And if you
Mhm.
just build it and don't talk about it, nobody knows. And
Exactly.
so, you know, even for myself, I've had to be more vocal in these latter years, especially being, you know, a 100% entrepreneur. When I was, you know, in corporate and doing business, I had audiences kind of automatically because I was having to travel to be a part of this conference and be a part of that, and co-workers and things of that nature. So that was this constant connection. When
Mhm.
you're not in that space and you work remotely, then you have to be intentional about making these connections. So
Right.
we got number one, the first myth, build a business on social media. No. Then we have number two, you know, anybody can do it. No. And here, this is what I say about this whole thing. Understand what your strengths are.
Mhm.
Maximize on your strengths, employ your weaknesses. There's nothing wrong with getting somebody to help you do the thing you don't do well.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
And so while you may be multifaceted, you know, creative, you know, but at the end of the day, I know for me, there's some things I do okay, but there are other things that I don't do well. And
Yep.
so I have to, you know, be inquisitive, ask questions, or employ someone to help me do those things that I don't do well. And then
Mhm.
the third one, uh, build it and they'll come.
They
The
won't
other
come.
build, huh? But they won't come.
Build it. They won't come.
So for the
And the
fourth
really,
one, I
yeah.
want to ask you what you think about this one. One size fits all. It kind of
I
flows into what it kind of flows into what we're talking about, because you know, I think everybody feels like they can take each of these or one of these social media platforms, and based on the number of followers they have, bam, it's gonna hit.
I like to use the example of Jesus in the Bible
Okay.
when people tell me, okay, we need to market to everybody because everyone's our customer, right? Or we just need to do this one thing because this is what we want to do and we have the time to do, right? Jesus was in the marketplace and Jesus was in the temple. And then Jesus was in the wilderness and then he was at the Sea of Galilee. And then he was in Gethsemane and then he was in Calvary. Then he went to guard the tomb and then he was resurrected. Jesus was in all the places to reach as many people as possible, right? We need to have to take on that same mentality as business owners.
Absolutely.
Yes, everyone is not our customer, but we do not find that out sometimes unless we have showed up in all the places to really define, okay, our customer is more so on TikTok than they are on LinkedIn. So now we deprioritize LinkedIn. We don't leave LinkedIn, but we prioritize TikTok, right? But we have to do that trial and error. And a lot of times we don't want to take the time to do the trial and error, to actually do the research, pay attention to the analytics, get the data over time, to understand like, okay, this is the audience that we need to target. Our audience might be in this age range and this age range. How do we talk to this person visually and then talk to this person with audio? Like we have to show up in the different ways and formats. And so when I'm creating a content strategy or even a social media strategy for companies, sometimes they'll tell me, oh, well, we want to be on LinkedIn because that's what we like to be on. Well, nobody cares what you like to be on, right? It's about the customer. So where do your customers show up? Or what do they like to be on? And a lot of businesses, they don't know that information. And so we literally take 3 steps back and are like, okay, we need to get the data points from you all or create these data points along the way that will give us this information. One size does not fit all, but at the same time, everybody's not going to be your customer, right? But you don't get to those answers unless you do the research.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I encourage people to show up everywhere. And then over time, you'll start to see 98% of your people are hanging out in certain areas. Maybe you have a higher email conversion rate, right? So focus on email, but don't leave everything else.
So true. So I think, and I like the fact that you gave that analogy, because in the conference I was just in, that's one of the things that was being talked about, the fact that as believers, we want to do everything at the church. Well, it's like,
most people ain't at
if
the
you're
church.
a believer, so the analogy was given, if you're a person who's really passionate about evangelism, people are not in the church.
They're not in the
marketplace.
Yes.
So we don't realize Jesus wasn't in the church all the time. To your point, he was in the marketplace. He was here, he was there, and he was among the people. And so you can't build a business in a box. So you can't stay, if you're an introvert and you got a business, okay, yeah, but you got to come out of that. You got to figure out how you're going to do it, because it's going to require you to be among the people so that you can determine where you connect at and where those people are, because you may be at one event where you get a lot of connections, and then you may be at another event where it's not so much. So that kind of helps you to determine the kind of, events you need to kind of attend and things of that nature. So I got this one more, and then we'll be approaching close to our time frame. So it kind of goes along with what we've talked about with social media and these myths: more traffic, more success. So some people feel like, well, if I got 5,000 followers, if I got 10,000 followers, or if I got 100,000 followers, I'm going to be successful.
When we look at numbers, I always tell people that those are very much vanity metrics. How many followers you have doesn't really equate to conversions, because again, social media is at the top of the funnel, right? That equates to brand awareness. That doesn't always equate to conversion, which is why most companies need a full cycle marketing strategy, not just a one size fits all. And I like to tell people, the biggest companies in the world, they're still doing marketing, right? Walmart is still going to send you that little flyer in the mail with all the discounts, right? PepsiCo is still going to run commercials. They're still going to create Super Bowl ads. They're still going to have billboards and everything.
They still doing billboards.
The largest companies, they still need marketing and sales for that reason. Absolutely. Because traffic does not always equate to success. If someone is walking into Walmart or Kroger, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to buy PepsiCo. They might go buy Mountain Dew. but the marketing, the story, the messaging behind it can switch their brain to be like, okay, when I go into the store, I'm actually going to buy PepsiCo because I just saw an ad on TV or on YouTube that makes me
Hmm.
want to. The largest companies still do marketing.
Absolutely.
So literally, like when we're thinking in like a small growth phase, like we're growing our businesses and going over time, we have to also remember that just because we get a certain amount of traffic does not mean that we're ultimately like successful or have met our business goals. Um,
Absolutely.
the biggest companies
Absolutely.
still do it, right? And they get tons of traffic.
Every day, every day. And one of the things that I've said for a long time, and I'm not a marketing guru by any means. Uh, and one of the things I used to say all the time, that thinking you can really manage your business and
Mhm.
grow a business on social media is a false reality. Because just by the same token, on the flip side, so more traffic doesn't equal more success. Neither does it mean that you won't have success, because people may be watching and they may be in taking in what you're saying and what you have going on, but they never
Mhm.
say a word. They never hit like, right?
Right.
They just
Exactly. Yeah.
scroll and pay attention to content that they're drawn to, and
Mhm.
content that matters to them. Some of them never. I've had clients that I've had from my business page. They never hit a like or anything. They just reached out and said, I need that service.
Yeah,
So if
that's the
I
way it
was
works.
trying to measure it by who hit like, who hit love, and who made a comment, it would be messed up. And so
Right.
we have to realize that it encompasses all of the things. And if you're going to be in business, you have to be cognizant of the fact that it takes everything that you can do.
Yeah.
And in
Yeah.
every facet, in every area that you can touch, it requires that and more.
Yes.
So you can't ever stop. When you're in the grocery store, you're your own billboard, you're your
Mhm.
own marketing, right? So if you don't tell people about it, or if you don't, when you're in conversations, and I've had to learn to do that and learn how to massage the conversation in a
Mhm.
way that I get the opportunity to say, what do you do? And then, okay, well, that's my shoe in, that's the door.
Right.
So if the door cracks, kick it open.
Right.
You know what I'm If the window get hyped up a little bit, pull it on up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you have to be, and here's the thing, you don't want to be overwhelming with it. You don't want to be arrogant with it. But at the end of the day, that's what you have to learn, how to be a person who can talk about what you do. You have to embody your vision and whatever
Mhm.
that is that you're doing. And so, number one, you are your own walking billboard. And
Yeah.
so that's why it's so important. One of the other areas that we're going to talk about during the conference is your articulation, maximizing your articulation and being able
Mhm.
to pitch in a short period of time, be it 30 seconds or a minute, because sometimes that's all you got.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yep,
And I
yep,
think
yep.
also being able to master your brand story, right?
Hmm.
Because people are inundated every day with billions of pieces of content, right? In
Oh,
all types of
absolutely.
different formats. So your story has to stand out to them. Like, what is your life vision as a person? What is your life mission as a person? It has to be convincing enough for them to want to be interested in you. And like you said, thousands of people could be looking at your material. And there's
Absolutely.
research actually to back this up that people
Hmm.
actually come to a brand over and over again by
Hmm.
accident 10
Hmm.
times before they actually take the next step, whatever that next step is. Like if that's
Uh-huh.
a clicking a discount code or signing up for some type of email newsletter. They literally see this thing over and over again, up to
Yep.
10 times before they're able to do it. And so the consistency, a lot of times people are not consistent. Like they start and they don't feel like they're being successful, and so they stop.
Hmm.
There's no such thing as immediate success. If someone told you they
Absolutely.
lied, they told you a big fat lie, you have to be consistent. So
Absolutely.
that's probably the biggest thing that I would say, that a lot of people, they leave the consistency part out because they're looking for that immediate success.
Absolutely. You're
So
so right. And it's one of the things that I'm sure you probably heard me say it over and over again, and I'll keep saying it. It's important that you have manageability so that you can have sustainability. And
mhm,
oftentimes where we get off track is that we try to do too much out the gate, and it becomes
exactly.
overwhelming. And so when we have to do all of those things on a consistent basis,
Mhm,
that's when we decide we're going to quit because it didn't work. Well, it's not that it didn't work. You took on too much. There should be an upward trajectory of building yourself, especially if you're starting by yourself. And if you're
Absolutely.
trying to scale to grow, then you want to maintain, you want to manage what you can handle until you have to manage someone else to handle it. So it's
Exactly.
important that you keep that in mind and determine, okay, what can I do? Number one, how much availability do I have that I can be accountable to myself and be responsible for what I
Hmm.
need to manage so that I can have sustainability. So
Yeah.
that part is key. And oftentimes that's not how we're thinking about it, because most business owners or people that are starting a business often started from a hustle or a hobby. And
Hmm.
so the main thing now is I had money, but I don't have money. Now I need to make money. And so this needs to happen right now. And that's not how it works. That's why we have to have these vision type, events to help the people
Yes,
build some
exactly.
structure and really get the reality. Seriously, though, to get the
Yeah.
reality, of what, and that's why, it's from vision to reality. It's those pieces in the middle that are so important. And this
Yeah.
is one of the key areas, marketing and content, because we first have to understand, one of the things that was shared in this conference this weekend is that we're the content. And oftentimes we don't realize that we're the content. And so
Hmm.
everything you need for what it is that you've been given to do, called to do, purpose to do, assigned to do is in you. So you
Right.
have to figure out how you gonna manage you. That's the first piece.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
when people struggle with managing themselves, then you
Hmm.
struggle with managing a business, managing people, managing
Yeah.
success. And so it starts at the entry level and the elementary level, basic fundamental level, and then you can graduate upward. So yes,
Absolutely.
ma'am. Good
If you
stuff.
can't manage yourself, you cannot manage anything else. That's
That part.
not the way it
Absolutely, that
works.
part. All right, we had some people in the chat tonight, so if you have a question, definitely type it in the chat, and we'll try to answer that before we go tonight. But I'm gonna ask Danny, of course, if there's any other myths that you want to throw out there. I know you don't want to give it all away, but any other nuggets you want to throw out there before we conclude tonight? This was good because I think you hit on most of mine. At least I had a little list. I was like, I want to see how many of these she hit.
I think
Because
one of
that
the
whole build it, they'll come, and this whole building a business on social media was so good because I can't
yeah.
tell you the number of clients. My first question, you have a website, how you gonna market this book, how you gonna do this? No, so they end up, here I go. I'm having to help them build a website. But at the end of the day, and to your point regarding the websites, a lot of people think it takes forever to do that. But
Mhm.
if they have what in mind, if they have a strategy and content, the websites can be built very, very rather quickly. So,
Right.
but any other, quick things you want to throw out, any other gems before we go tonight?
I think the last thing I would say is some people confuse marketing with sales, and marketing and sales are
Mm,
two entirely different functions, right? Marketing
yeah.
is the goal of marketing is to inform sales. The goal of sales is to close the deal, right? And so I think a
Wait
lot
a
of
minute, wait a
times
minute,
where
wait a minute. You're talking too fast. Talking too fast. Hold up. Rewind. Go back. Marketing is to inform
inform
sales.
sales, yes,
Uh-huh.
and then
And
sales is
sales.
responsible for closing the deal.
Come on now.
Yeah, and those are two. And when we're in a small, like the small to mid-sized business world, right? We wear a lot of hats. Like sometimes we're
Mm-hmm.
marketing, sometimes we're sales, sometimes we're
Mm-hmm.
the face of the business, sometimes we're doing operations, sometimes we're doing our taxes, sometimes we're doing finance, right? So we tend to
Yeah.
wear a lot of hats. And when
Uh-huh.
we put efforts or money and resources into marketing, sometimes it's very easy to get frustrated when you feel like you don't see results from that marketing. But marketing dollars do not equate to sales. And that is a big myth that even larger companies have the same exact myth. Well, we spent $1.5 million on Facebook ads and we didn't get XYZ,
Mm-hmm.
percentage to convert. Well, marketing spend does not equate to sales. So when
Mm-hmm.
people when you're talking about the amount of money you want to spend on marketing or setting up your marketing budget or whatever that is, you want to make sure that first you know your target audience. Second, you're
Right.
selling whatever you're selling, that you are passionate about it, that you're not
Mm-hmm.
just copying off of somebody else because you saw it was successful for them and now you're
Right.
trying to recreate it and do it yourself, right?
Right.
Make sure that it's your product, your service, that you're passionate about it, that you'll sleep with it at night, you'll wake up with it in the morning. Like, you really have to be passionate about what you're trying to sell. And then know your target audience, and then also be in the right place at the right time, be willing to do the work. So a
Yeah.
lot of times we'll do marketing, but then we're not even prepared for sales on the back end. We don't have operations set up. We don't know how delivery is going to work. So you can spend all your marketing dollars and do all the right things, but if you haven't set up operations to deliver that end result to the client, you are missing a big piece of the puzzle.
Yes.
And marketing can't fix that. Marketing cannot fix bad service. Marketing cannot fix bad delivery, bad operations, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, these are two entirely different functions.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. See, this is good stuff. So I'm gonna go back and somebody said repeat it again. So marketing informs sales, and
Yes,
sales
is
is
responsible for closing the
responsible
deal.
for closing the deal.
Yes.
Marketing informs sales, and sales is responsible for closing the deal. All right. Y'all got that in your notes. All right, good stuff.
Yeah.
But this is, this is so good because, you hit the nail on the head. These are the kinds of things that's why it's so important. This is what pen to paper is about. Helping you to gather the fundamental basics of your vision so that you can, number one, establish a structure. Number two, determine what the strategies are, because everybody's strategy is going to be different. But if you're not clear about where you're going, then you can't establish a roadmap or directions to get you there. And so that clarity is extremely important. And then you got to know how to communicate not only with your customers, but you need to be able to communicate with yourself, because you're the one who has to articulate that. That's where the maximizing on your articulation comes in, because you have to be able to articulate that so that people know what it is that you're trying to sell. But if you don't have a process in place, then the backside, the operations and the delivery doesn't happen. And that's a lot of times where people fold and quit, because customers are not satisfied with the delivery of the product that you have, quote unquote, sold them. Oh, this is good stuff. Yeah, we're going to have a good time. This is going to be good, 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 good. So listen, if you have not gotten registered, now pen to paper is an in-person event. If you've not gotten registered, you still have time, of course. There are a couple of spots left for VIP, but of course, standard registration is available. Listen, this is going to be an amazing opportunity for you if you are an aspiring business owner, if you're a business owner who is stagnant, you feel like you've gotten stuck and you're not really sure what's happened. These are the kinds of things we can help you with in this business summit. If you struggle with articulating and communicating with your audience and getting and conveying what it is that your content is or about, this is the opportunity. You already see she is very well versed, and she is an expert in her, if she's a SME, subject matter expert for content and marketing. And so I'm telling you, this is no, just run of the mill. This is good information that's going to help you, whether you're a solopreneur, if you're trying to scale and grow. What do you need before you get to that point? Because you don't want to try to scale and grow and you've not prepared yourself financially. You have not prepared yourself from a policy and procedure perspective. You need to have standard operating procedures. You need to have a culture by which people are going to come in and work with, because if you don't have a culture or establish a culture, people will bring their own. That is going to cause dissension and is going to cause disruption in your business. So listen, we got the goods for you. So we're looking for you November 3rd and 4th for the Pen to Paper Business Summit. You can get registered at bridgetmoody.com/events. And I'm telling you, it's going to be an amazing time. If you've never had a pen to paper experience, this is going to make the difference. The power of the pen on paper. 3 things that are top things for me: clarity, connection, and enhancing your memory. Because when you put that on paper, it comes very clearly. One of the things, I'm gonna say this parenthetically, is when I ask people, what are you doing? They got to pull out their phone and try to read it to me. You have not embodied your vision. That's a problem.
And you probably shouldn't be doing that thing.
No. So whatever it is you're doing, because here again, I'm looking like, okay, I know this is nothing that's really, I can really put stock in, because you don't even know it. And so it's important that you are clear about what your vision is and what it is that you're doing, whatever that is, as you so eloquently put it a few minutes ago. Well, as always, I appreciate you all for stopping in for Tuesday Motivation and Conversation. Of course, this platform is about just that: we have a conversation, and we hope that you're motivated to take some of that information and utilize it, or that it challenges you to do something on a different level or to do it better. So thank you so much, Danny, for being with us on tonight. We're looking forward to pen to paper next weekend, November 3rd and 4th. It is going to be absolutely amazing. So if you've not gotten registered, you want to make sure that you go do that tonight and get your spot. And I think there are just a few more rooms left as well. So there's hotel accommodations. It's an amazing rate for pen to paper attendees only. So if you're coming in from out of town, you want to go ahead and make sure you snatch that as well. So until next time, I'll be back here next week, same time, same place. And listen, I'm going to be talking about attitudinal disposition. Attitudinal disposition. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. And if this helped you tonight, if this blessed you tonight, this is some good content, good information. Will you share this? Share this with somebody else and help them to structure their business appropriately, and they can dispel some of these myths so that they don't spin their wheels and they're not getting results. And then this will help them to know why. All right.
Yes,
All right. We'll see
absolutely.
y'all next time, same time, same place, right here for Tuesday Motivation.